Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Rarsu Amarabi. On this channel, I film content surrounding graduate school, sustainability, education, and lifestyle. Today we have a guest on the show. It's going to be a career feature. We have Esosa on the show. He graduated in April 2020, but he got a job before graduating. And a very interesting thing is that even for his master's, he was funded, but he didn't do research. So in this series, we're going to be finding out how he got funding without the research part. That's a non-thesis master's, and he's also going to be telling us how he secured a job before graduation. Esosa, welcome to the channel.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Esosa Ekhoragbon, and I got my bachelor's in electrical and electronics engineering from the University of Benin in 2016, and I moved down to the US in the fall of 2018 for my master's program at Oakland University. I studied electrical and computer engineering. Then I majored in radio frequency, which is RF, and electromagnetism, which is it's a pretty strange field in electrical engineering, but that's what I'm majored in. And
Okay.
I currently work at Molex
At
as an
where?
electrical at Molex
Okay.
as an electrical stroke EMC engineer. So I'm currently working on that.
Nice. So you basically just continued in the electrical engineering field, like from
Yeah, I
master's.
did because my background was pretty, that was my background so far, and I had to just work on my strength. And that was it. I love hardware too, so.
So how were you able to decide or come to the radio frequency like concentration? How did you decide to go there? Is this something
Well,
from undergrad or?
so back in undergrad in my final year, I majored in electronics and telecommunications. I was always interested in hardware, right? So communication technology basically in general, like 5G and things like that. So it was pretty fascinating. So I just wanted to pursue that more. And I chose Michigan because I kind of like cars. There are like a lot of car companies here, so it wasn't so difficult to decide to want to come here. But electrical was my strong point, and I just wanted to push it, just push it forward and work with that.
So when you were coming for your master's, like before coming, did you already decide you were, because you did the non-thesis track, right?
Yeah, I did.
So did you like already decide like when you were applying for schools that you're not going to go the research route? Like how did you come to that decision?
So I applied to numerous schools, both for masters and PhD, but the one I got funding, which was at OU, they had the option for you to either do the thesis or not. So I just did the non-thesis option. So and my professor was okay with that, so I was able to do that. It wasn't like I decided intentionally to not want to do a thesis option. It was just the situation and the condition at that moment. But because I got admitted into like a PhD program as well, but I mean that was gonna be thesis. Even some master's program that were gonna be thesis. But this was more like it was more like the optimum choice for me to just go with.
So wait, did you get funding in like the other programs that you got accepted into?
For one of my other masters, I didn't get full funding, so I didn't go for that. So, but for this, it was fully funded.
What about the PhD?
The PhD wasn't funded, that's why I didn't go.
Oh.
It was I think it was University of North Carolina in Charlotte.
Okay.
But it wasn't funded, so I didn't go for that.
So funding normally comes like in the form of teaching assistant, graduate assistantship, or research assistantship. So what were you like for your master's?
I was a research assistant. Yeah, I was a research assistant the entire time.
Okay. So like so with the research assistant, most of the time, or like more commonly, you become a research assistant when you're working on a research under your professor, so as your master's thesis or your PhD dissertation. So but how were you able to get into that program doing a non-thesis but also being a research assistant? Like how did that play out? Yeah.
So it's very interesting because the way my lab worked, it's a big lab kind of, but we don't have like a lot of folks in it. Like maybe 2 to 4 students at a time work at the lab, right? So we did some research, but it was like applicable research, not just the conventional, trying to, like an actual thesis. But we did like applied research, if I'm gonna put it that way. And uh, part of working in the lab also involved research because we are trying to improve maybe like the process of how the lab operates or some of our tools, trying to work on that and things like that, which also involves research, right? So it wasn't the conventional route that people do take, but we at the lab we also have some PhD students who are current, they necessarily don't work at the lab currently, but they're like affiliated with the lab where they also do research. But yeah, it's kind of different. It was really applied because I had the opportunity to work with. I was working directly with some companies.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they're doing some tests and things like that. So it's not like the research lab that you
Yeah.
know.
So was it like a company? Because me personally, during my master's, I had the opportunity to work as a research assistant, but it was in a company. But the company was for a professor. So like it was not like a conventional like the what I'm doing now in PhD, like just the lab for research. Is
Exactly. So
that how
it was something like that. So it's in a university. The lab is in a university, and but then we we have companies. I mean, we call them customers, right? Because they're like paying for the service that we offer them. So they come to the lab, we do the work for them and things like that. If they have a problem, we help them fix it and things like that. So it was, yeah, I wouldn't say the company, but it generates income, right? So
Oh, okay. That's company, I guess.
yeah,
So, but like
right.
in my own case, I was already in the school, right? And so I even took a class like by this professor. And it was like after that class, I got an email that they were like trying to get a student to work for them. And that's how I was able to get that position. But you coming
Mhm.
from Nigeria, how were you able to like that's not a conventional like so is it like
Yeah,
something that was
yeah,
stated on
yeah.
the website like so how did you do it so that in case another
So
person wants to
yeah, so my story is kind of different. Like I said, it's weird, but so while I was applying to school, I think earlier in January of 2020, I reached out to one of the students here at OU, who is a Nigerian who was doing RA and things like that. So I told him I was, applying to the school. I was looking for professors who were going to form. And he, that was via LinkedIn because whenever I'm applying to schools, I reach out to students who are in the schools that, potential just to ask about, oh, what is school like and how does funding work and things like that. So I did that a lot. I sent personalized invite to them just to be more specific and just to be more approachable, right? So I reached out to this guy and he was able to help me just he didn't really know, but he reached out to the department chair of electrical and computer engineering. And this was way, way late after the entire admission process. This was like in May of 2020. So, which was, schools have already decided admission processes and things like that. So he asked me for my documents and I sent it to him, like my GRE score, TOEFL, my transcript and things like that. So he submitted it to the professor and luckily for me, the professor was hiring at that point, and I was kind of like a good fit. I already had a background in RF and communication and things like that. So he told me to apply that he was going to form, and that was it. So I applied. I think I got admitted in maybe June or July. Then I tried to work on my I-20 and things like that. So I eventually got my visa sometime in August, end of August, and I left the next day. Like it was like a very fast process. But yeah, so that was basically how I got from there. Then I got here, and yeah, it was a different story entirely. But yeah,
yeah the moral from that story is that like when people are applying they should not just like stick
yeah,
maybe communicating to just professors but look
yeah,
for students on LinkedIn and like
yeah,
connect to them.
yeah. Because sometimes the students have the information that it won't be on the website, right? So currently, let's say you are at your lab, you know what your professor is currently looking for, right? Next year I might need to add maybe 3 more PhD students to this group. We have this project coming up. You have information like that, right? So even beforehand, you can tell folks who are interested in
Mhm.
the search group that hey, if you're fit for this program and you feel like you can do it, you should go ahead and apply. So it's something similar. reaching out to students via LinkedIn doesn't have to be Nigerian, but let's
Yeah.
say students in a lab that are working in a lab that you're interested in, you should reach out to them and just ask like, oh, what it's like working with this professor, or just basically having first-hand information, not just those things are not going to be on the website, right? So yeah.
Yeah. So like during your master's, you're working like as a research assistant and you're also like taking classes. Was it really difficult to combine both? And did your social life suffer during this period?
Um, my first my first semester was because I just rushed in, right? So
Mm.
I wasn't fully. It was like a new system. Yeah. The next day we already started classes, and so it was pretty new. But over time, I got like balance, but it was really challenging at first because like every week you have, which is not something some of us are very used to, right? Even back in undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
you might have a lot of courses, but you don't have like projects every week or things like that. You might have assignments, but it's kind of different in the US, right? So
Yeah.
we had like assignments that are, oh, go use MATLAB and do this and do that. So it was pretty intense at first, but over time you know I got to understand the system at work. If you need help, you should reach out to the professors. Then my social life, I mean, I made some friends here, Nigerians, non-Nigerians. We they had the school organized some events here. We go, we attend, we hang out, things like that. But I tried to live a balanced life basically. I wasn't like heavy on trying to just read alone and not do other stuff. So
I think it's nice that you brought up the fact that even in Nigeria that we had a lot of courses. It was not
right,
intense because
yeah,
like some people come here. I think I was even guilty. And like when I said I was just going to take 3 courses, I'm like, just 3.
hmm
Just 3. In Nigeria, we take like 10
yeah,
or
yeah.
8.
It takes 7, 8,
Yeah,
10.
but
Yeah,
like the assignments and projects,
yeah.
with those 3 courses.
And the percentages, right? Like 30% here, 10% here,
Yeah,
20. They all add up to something. So if you flop somewhere, you automatically don't even get an A,
yeah.
right? So
So
it's
you have
it's
to be
a
like up and doing from
yep,
the beginning.
yeah,
But
from the
like
beginning to the end.
Nigeria, you you have to start from the midterm. Like
Right.
you might have failed some assignments, but if you can
Yep.
like step up in your midterm and your exams, you're still good. But yeah, from the very first assignment. So I think that's something that people who are coming should like take note. Don't if they give you the opportunity to take 4 courses, like
No,
just take
that's that's
3. Just take
that's
the
that's
just take
crazy.
3, yeah. So like during how long did it take you to finish your masters?
The conventional 4 semesters, right?
4 semesters.
So I just took classes first, second semester, same thing, third and fourth
So
semester.
no
But
summer, yeah.
yeah, in the summer I was working on campus because I was still at my lab. But yeah, I was still at my lab, right? So I didn't do internship because
That
I
was
was,
the
I
next
was
question.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, so yeah, I can probably go into the question now. So I didn't do an internship because like I had a comment with my professor and I just wanted to stay in the lab and just do more for that summer. Because we also had some things to fix in the lab as well. So I just wanted to have a level. Because for the internship, right, funny enough, so when I first got to the US in the fall of 2018,
Mm-hmm.
the same company that I'm currently working with, which is Molex, so I went to my school career fair back in the fall of 2018, which was in September, and this was like 2 weeks just getting into the US. So I went around, did my resume and things like that. My resume was even 2 pages, which is funny. I mean, how many experiences do I
What
have?
was the
Right. So I went and I met some companies. I just wanted to know about the companies around here, just to familiarize myself with potential companies I would want to work with. So this company offered me to want to come for an interview, and I had to decline it, like for the next internship, because I knew I was going to be coming to my professor. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'm working with the company currently, which is it's a different branch, but it it's like it's a funny story, but yeah. So I didn't do internship in summer, and I didn't have to take classes because I didn't do internship. So most people, when they do internship, which is an off campus job, you have to take classes, which most of the time you have to pay out of pocket, right? And you graduate like earlier, or you have less classes to take. So, but I didn't do. I just did conventional, 2 semesters, and 4 semesters. That was it. So
Yeah. So like you said, even when you're not looking for internship, you already start going like for
Yes, career fairs.
career
Yeah,
fairs.
yeah. I just the idea was to know because my company here in Michigan, Rochester Hills. So we have like a lot of companies around here, like in the middle of the industry. So FCA, for instance, is like 5 minutes away from the university. So we have a lot of companies and suppliers, OEMs, and things like that around the university. So we have like the car fair is pretty huge, you know. So we, I just used the opportunity to like, oh, I'm new here in the US, you know, what is like to even be in a career fair? Because back in Nigeria, we don't really have things like that heavy. Some schools might have, but not all schools. You know,
Yeah.
it's not very conventional. A few companies come in, they want to hire, but it's not as big as we have in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of worked out because I made a connection which, even after I got an interview for my company right now, I reached out to the same person that I met then in 2018 in
Mm-hmm.
the fall. Oh, what it's like in your company, like the interview process and things like that. So it's basically I used the opportunity to network with some companies and some employees. So yeah.
Yeah. So like when in your program did you actually secure like this full-time job? I'll say when
My,
did you start applying for
so
full-time job?
I graduated in April 2020, right? So I started applying in I think October.
Mm-hmm.
So
October
yeah,
20
2019.
yeah, 2019. Yeah.
2019. So I started applying. I think my first interview was in December. It was a company here in Michigan, but I told them I was going to start after graduation because I was still in my lab, right? I couldn't leave, so it was like a different position. But I just wanted the interview experience, just to know what it was like. It was even more of like a software job. It wasn't conventional to what I was doing at that moment. But I just I was heavy on wanting to get the experience, so I went ahead and did it. But I applied for like every day I could apply like for like 10 jobs every day, sometimes more. It depends on the mood and what the application process would require. So I started applying then. I think I interviewed in December, interviewed in January, interviewed in February, but yeah. So I applied for the current job that I'm more or less right now.
Mm-hmm.
I applied in, I think December, January. I think January, I was when the position was open, I think. So then I applied, then in February, I got called for an interview, then in March I got the job offer. Then I graduated in April. Then I started
So
after
this
graduation.
this this was online applications, right? Or like were
Yeah,
you applying yourself?
online. So I used funny enough, the first interview I got I think was from a job I applied to on LinkedIn. I applied to a lot of jobs on LinkedIn because
Oh,
it
on
was
LinkedIn itself. Okay.
yeah, LinkedIn. I applied to a lot. Actually, two interviews I got were from LinkedIn. But even if you don't apply directly, the link to apply takes you to the company website, so you submit the application there, right? So I applied there. The first interview was from the company in LinkedIn. I think the second as well was a company in I think South Carolina. But yeah, so it was I apply on LinkedIn. Sometimes I just Google the jobs and it takes me to the company's website and things like that. So it was pretty. I was just taking advantage of all the. I mean, it's the internet, right?
Yeah.
Just keep searching for these jobs and keep applying for them.
Yeah.
Then
So
I then I then I sorry to cut you short. Then I used like my career services at my university to and my friends too help me review my resume, adjust it, and reapply and things like that. Just keep editing until you get the one that is optimized for your role, which is like it's easily tweakable. You can tweak it, right? So
nice. So apart from you working in school and like taking classes, what extra things did you do in school to like up your resume, your profile?
yeah, so I think the main one what I did was because I like getting involved as a student, not just even as a student, as a person in general. I like getting involved in other stuff. So when I got here, I joined NSB,
Mhm.
National Society of Black Engineers. After a year at the university, I went ahead to become the president of NSB at Oakland University. So this gave me more access to. I mean, I work with amazing team members. These are students, undergrads and grad students at Oakland University. It was super amazing. They did an excellent job. We did actually.
Yeah.
So it gave me access to more network. And we had companies who reached out directly to Nesby. Oh, we want to work with you guys, we want to organize events. You want to organize a career coaching event, you organize a one-on-one event. So, and we attended events like that too. I mean, we just organize it ourselves. We have bi-weekly meetings. We have a good relationship with university as well. And we have the Nesby conference, which you must have heard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it gave me access to just my soft skills, basically. Just learning how to work with. This is a different environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never worked in the US, so now working with people in the US, both companies, both individuals, both leaders in these companies. Sometimes we attended meetings that involved, ex-CEO of companies, CEOs of companies, or ex-vice presidents, or maybe on the university advisory board and things like that. Which the first interview I got, there was someone from that meeting. I mean, I applied to this job. I didn't know the person was working there at the time. Then I saw, oh, your LinkedIn connection, someone worked here. Then I saw that the person that I met at one of those meetings worked there. Then I just reached out. I'm applying to this job at your company. How it is? So that's basically how networking actually just
Yeah.
works. It wasn't like something extremely personal. But at least I knew I had met the person before. The person had helped me speak with dialogue and with. So yeah, networking really helped a lot with the Nesby. We went for conferences. I learned a lot about the US hiring system as well. And within those some companies do sponsor, some don't. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask about your OPT. Well, I'm asking because I think, okay, so I've not applied because from masters I went straight to PhD, but I've heard of some people maybe applying too soon and like you have like 3 months.
Yeah,
So like, can you
90 days.
yeah, 90 days. Can you tell us like when you apply for your OPT, like what you think should be like you even already had a job. So like when did you apply for yours? Well, maybe people that have not gotten a job, when should they apply? Like is it
Okay,
when they
okay.
graduate? Like what
So I was pretty optimistic that I was gonna get a job. Not because I was proud, and I mean I didn't have the best result or whatever, but I just knew I was gonna find something, even if it wasn't here in Michigan. But I knew I was gonna find something, which is the mindset every job seeker should have, right? So even when I applied for OPT, I didn't have a job yet. I didn't have an interview yet. The one I did in December was kind of like a flop, although it was just my first interview in the US. So, but OPT you apply 90 days before. I graduated April, I think the last week of April 30th or something. So I had to apply in January, which is like 3 months. Um, I had to apply at the end of January, which is my graduation date was April 20 something. So January 20 something is like 3 months before 90 days. So that's when I went ahead to, and I did all this research before. Excuse me. So I just told my international office, I called them that I wanted to apply for OPT. They walked me through the process, the documents that I needed and things like that. So I applied in January. Then the pandemic hit, right? I thought it was going to delay the OPT, but I was able to get so I was so optimistic, and I put my OPT starting date in May. I didn't have a job yet.
Mm-hmm. But you were actually aggressively applying.
Yeah, of course. Like applying
October.
and yeah, because after your OPT you have like 60 days to get a job and things like that. But I just put it in May. I just to be safe, like a few weeks after graduation, maybe like 2 weeks, because I wanted to take a break. So I applied and still applying for jobs while the OPT process is going in the background. And I got my OPT card, I think, in March or April, something like that. Yeah. So the OPT process, you just have to know. And sometimes some people delay their graduation just because they want to get a job. They delay it by semester or some graduate earlier. Maybe your company is promising them they're going to resume earlier. So some graduate earlier and things like that. So it's pretty dynamic, and you should know what works for you, right? So do you want to move out of the state? Do you want to transfer? Let's say you're graduating May 21st now. You can't put your OPT start date May 25th. Let's say if you're moving out of the state, like you're moving to another state.
Sure.
In Michigan, let's say I wanted to move to California, for instance, I wouldn't put just 2 days after graduation as my OPT start date. So you should factor those things in. If you are so tired, you can give yourself a few days or a few weeks break, and
So in your current role now in your job, would you say your duties, like what you do now, would you say like your experience during your master's program actually prepared you for this position?
yes, it did absolutely like 110%.
So the
Because
technicalities, like, do
yes,
you were you actually like when I say the technical role, was it actually what like very
yes,
related to what you were doing? Oh, that's awesome.
absolutely. So it was like even some of the things we have on my lab, we have on my company. Like so,
Mhm.
the lab actually equipped me and my colleagues, like everyone, into like the industry setting. They kind of do similar things. We're using the same equipment. Industry standard. We are like relating to customers. We're solving problems real time. Yeah, it's applied. Like everything is just applied. That's why I said even the research we did was kind of applied research because
Yeah.
yeah, we were working with some companies as well on the research.
So can you like just briefly summarize what you do?
Also, I worked while I was a research assistant. It's still I worked on cars, like car
What?
antennas.
Oh, car. Okay.
Yeah, cars. So like antennas and communication things like that. So it was actually mostly on antennas. So we do the testing at the lab to see if it's working properly. Is it like I don't know if I should go into detail, but antennas of nowadays now have like different models in them, like the GPS, the cellular network, the Wi-Fi. If you notice, cars are getting more smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you in an emergency in a car, for instance, the car can actually call like 911 or something. So there's a cellular module in the car. Even let's say for Tesla, right? It's using the internet for the map. So there's a cellular module in the car. And AM, FM antennas as well, they're also there. So antennas are getting more, also 5G antennas are, getting more rampant now, like DSRC, yeah. So it's a lot of communication models going into the cars right now. And the antennas are responsible for even sending and receiving the signal. So it's a big part of every vehicle. Just like your phone have antennas in them,
Yeah.
right? The iPhone just added 5G to their stuff, which is super amazing and super fast and reliable. So yeah, so the technology is actually growing so fast. So we did most of the testing to know if the antenna was having, a good gain. And you have to do most of these tests before you can release into production.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me access to direct engineers who were designing this product.
Right.
So, also learn a little bit from them. We just discuss and just it was an applied experience because it was really hands on. It was really really hands on, and it was sometimes it got so intense, but it was it was a learning curve for me because I got adapted to it, and now it's something that led to me getting a job, right? So I'm forever grateful for the experience because it was really hands on.
That's really cool. So, and that's like kind of what you still do now, or not
But
currently?
now it's I'm still working in that group. Like I'm still working with that team
Oh.
and my company.
Oh wait, you're
Because
still working?
no,
Wait.
not my university team. Like
Oh.
and my current company because
Yeah.
Molex we supply antennas to the industry as
Oh.
well. That's part of Molex's business. So we still have to do some of those testing. We still have to do the design. So we
Mm.
design, we do all of that. So I work with part of the team as well. Also in charge of like EMC testing and electrical testing and things like that.
So yeah, I like to let my audience know, like especially people that are planning to come, because people here already like know this. Like not all companies actually sponsor you. So I like to ask you how, like when you were applying for jobs, like what were you looking at for? How do you tell that a company sponsors? Like were you just applying to companies without even knowing the sponsor? Just tell us what things were you looking out for so that like people can look out for that also.
I would say you have to know your because I had spent quite some time in Michigan. So I
Mm.
kind of knew the company that I hired international students. because I was putting my ears out and just looking out, and companies at the career fair, I see which ones have opportunities for international students and things like that. So he helped me show, let's say for my career fair, we have 120 companies coming. Before I go to the career fair, I check the sheet and I tick out maybe 20 or 25, because they're the ones who are interested in international students who can sponsor. So I go just to those companies, not, I go just to those companies, right? And it saves me a lot of time and stress. So you also need to do your research. And there's a website called myvisajobs.com where you can see companies who sponsor myvisajobs.com.
Okay.
So on this website, you can see companies that sponsored H1Bs. You can see how many people they sponsored the previous year and things like that. So, and you shouldn't rule out on any company. They might not be Google or Amazon or Apple or Microsoft, but there are also a lot of big companies that do amazing stuff. The pay is good and everything, but so you should also know like your route. You might necessarily not want to spend 10 years with the company, right? But at least it no one knows what's going to happen in 5-10 years, right? So at least you start from somewhere. If they're sponsoring your H1B, it's a learning experience. You learn as much as you can, contribute as much as you can contribute. Just be a part and make yourself, useful, right? So it's not a one size fits all. Like people have different routes that if let's say you get a job in Florida, you have to move down from wherever you are. You go there, it's a new experience for you. And trying to get a job, you should also use the school career services. It's really important because they have a lot of resources. Some companies they won't reach out directly to them. So we're looking for interns. We're looking for someone full time, things like that. So I'm going to give you a quick story. So I while I was in school, I got information that Amazon was like hiring like 350 employees down in Detroit area. They were new. So having that kind of information, right? At least I already have that in back of my mind. Software engineer, I'm gonna apply to Amazon, right? So just putting your ears out and just knowing what is going on and just keep putting yourself out there basically. And networking both online and offline and pitching yourself and just putting yourself out there and doing stuff and keep applying like every day.
Exactly. So
every day.
Yeah. So like even as you keep your ears out to see like the companies that are accepting international, like you said, your school's career services also. In my school, like they even send like job opportunities to like engineering, like for engineers, like they send us like emails like every day, like opportunities and all. But there's also like a career services website. We call it Anchi. I think not just my school.
You
guys use
Anchi. We use
So like recruiters come there to like look at profiles. So like students actually utilize that a lot. But like even in when you're talking about the website that shows like companies that give H1B or sponsor H1B, it's important to look at those companies. But like when you're like applying a lot, don't just apply to those companies. I don't know how to explain it because I've actually seen someone who like got a job with a company and she was like the first person they were sponsoring. They didn't even know. They didn't even know about so like it's very possible.
It's very possible.
So what advice do you have for like current grad students, like masters or even PhD, to have a smooth transition like from like student life to working life?
So
like to get a job.
I'm just gonna make it practical by using one example. So I look for this role that says data analyst, right? At this social company. As a student or current grad student, master's or PhD or whatever, you should start looking for things like that early, like the kind of jobs you want to get. You Google it, search the job description, the requirement. So look at those skills. Let's say they require 10 skills. Learn like how can you get at least 5 of them before you graduate, right? They needed to be proficient in Python. They needed to be proficient in R. They needed to have a GitHub profile that is active, and so you can start doing those things while you are still in school, right? Then when the time comes to apply, just keep applying to companies, and So this is like the best way to go about it. Sometimes in school, you might not have a class that is dedicated to Python. No, right? You have to spend extra time, take online classes, and work on personal projects in the weekends or holidays. And at least then you're building your profile, you're building your portfolio while your school is still going on. So it's like the best way to prepare. So when the time comes, I mean, opportunity means preparation, right? So when the time comes, or the opportunity comes, you're already prepared partially. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be a genius, like you don't. But it
Yeah.
depends. If you want to go to the top 5 companies, of course, they need you to have done something.
Thank you, Esosa, for coming on the channel. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you. Thank
sharing
you for having me.
all of your nuggets. I learned a lot, and my viewers will obviously learn a lot too. So, guys, that's my viewers. I'm going to be leaving his contact details down in the description box. His LinkedIn, his email. Can I leave your email?
Yeah, you can. You can. My
Yeah.
Twitter and Clubhouse. Maybe.
Clubhouse.
I mean, I don't know who
Yeah.
uses social media, who uses Clubhouse, but yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll leave his Clubhouse. But yeah, like in case you want to get in contact with him, maybe you're in his field, you want to just learn more about what he does, reach out to him, and I'm sure he will reply, he will respond because he's a wonderful guy. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope everyone learned one or two things. Basically.